A delegation from the Philippines, led by the governor of Ilocos Norte, is in Honolulu to promote economic and investment opportunities. And Lisa Burgos explains the significance of the historic ties.
Hawaii's ties to the Ilocos Norte province in northern Philippines go back to 1906, when the first Filipino immigrants, known as Sakadas, came to work in Hawaii's sugarcane fields. Now, with 1 in 4 people in Hawaii claiming some Filipino ancestry, community and state leaders are building on an official sister-state relationship that began 22 years ago.
Hawaii wants to gain access to workforce talent in the Philippines in the form of healthcare workers and also educational workers like teachers, which we have a shortage of here. And so we're looking to strengthen those relationships so it's practically mutually beneficial for both regions.
This Tuesday, Hawaii Governor Josh Green and Ilocos Norte Governor Cecilia Araneta Marcos will speak at the 4th Annual Hawaii-Philippines Business Trade Show, Symposium, and Reception. Governor Marcos, who is related to current Philippine President Bongbong Marcos, plans to showcase the benefits of doing business in Ilocos Norte.
The government has really opened up a lot of opportunities for investors as well. So, and we also have incentives like fiscal incentives for them. If they invest here, they have a break on taxes, that sort of thing.
People from Ilocos will gonna be bringing in products that we want to showcase, as well as people here in Hawaii. We'll give them opportunities to present their products to get more business here in Hawaii.
The event goes from 2 to 7 p.m. at the Alohilani Resort in Waikiki. Tickets are available for $25 at the door and includes a buffet dinner and access to the vendor marketplace. Annalisa Burgos, Hawaii News Now.